Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rose Jeffrey, Corporate Secretary of Harlem Community Development Corporation. I would like to welcome everyone to the meeting, and I ask that you please mute your phone and keep it muted unless you're speaking. For the record, before we begin, I'll be taking a roll call of the directors to ensure we have a quorum present. If you're on the line, please say present when you hear your name. Delisa Quigley.
Present.
William Allen.
Present.
Lamond Mays.
Present.
Holly Drakeford.
Present.
Donna Marks.
Present.
Peter Foster.
Present.
Jason Cruz.
Present.
Yolanda Ford.
Present.
Athena Moore.
Present.
Gabrielle Lewenstein.
Good morning, present.
The person who is signing on for Council Member Kristen Richardson Jordan, can I have your name again, please?
Giselle, Gisele, last name Hearn, Hearne.
Thank you very much. Terrell Brock.
Present.
Ernestine Bell Temple.
Present.
Janine Brown.
Present.
Thank you very much. And we have Victoria Gordon, Kathleen Mize, Elisa Huckheiser, Debbie, Richard Dorado, Eugene Kutkowski, Colin, and Curtis Archer on the line also, who are staff. And I thank you, everyone. We have a quorum. I'll now turn this meeting over to Frida Foster, who is the acting chair for today's meeting. Frida?
Thank you, Rose. Good afternoon,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frida Foster, and I'm happy to serve as chair for today's meeting. I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the Harlem Community Development Corporation for Friday, March 18th, 2022. Before we get started, I ask that everyone, again, please make sure your phones are muted until you are ready to speak. Also, for anyone wishing to speak, please be sure to state your name before you begin. I'd like to note for the record that due to public health concerns and in accordance with current legislation, this meeting will be conducted by teleconference. I also note that the public was given the opportunity to comment on today's agenda item by submitting their written comments by 4:30 p.m. on yesterday, March 17th, 2022, to the email address hcdcboard@esd.ny.gov. No comments were received from the public. The directors have received the written materials in advance of today's meeting, and they are free to ask questions at any time during the presentation. However, at this time, I welcome the new directors to the call, some not so new, but still want to welcome you. Representing Council Member Sean Abreu, Jalissa Quigley, welcome. Representing Senator Cordell Clear, Mr. William Allen, welcome. Representing Assemblymember Eddie Gibbs, Mr. Jason Cruz, welcome. And representing Councilmember Richardson Jordan, Ms. Giselle Hearn, welcome. I now ask all of the directors if you have any potential conflicts of interest with respect to today's agenda items. Now is the time to make an appropriate disclosure on the record so we can be sure that you recuse yourself from any discussions or votes regarding that item. Are there any conflicts of interest? Okay, there are none, and that is noted for the record. Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes for the February 11th, 2022 Board of Directors meeting. May I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Who was that?
Second.
Okay, William Allen moved and Deneen Brown seconded the motion. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
No objection.
Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, Ms. Destiny Burns will present the request for approval of Harlem CDC's fiscal year 2022-23 operating capital and weatherization budgets. Ms. Burns.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, the directors are being asked to approve HCDC's operating capital and weatherization budgets for the fiscal year beginning April 1, 2022 and ending March 31, 2023. The proposed operating budget of $1,185,549 covers personnel costs and day-to-day corporate expenses and is consistent with the current year's budget. It can be found on page 8 of the materials. The proposed capital budget of $2.25 million covers the estimated cost of legal expenses and updated estimate for costs related to the renovation of HCDC's office space. And that can be found on page 9. Our weatherization program is funded by the U.S. Departments of Energy and Health and Human Services through the New York State Department of Homes and Community Renewal. The proposed budget of $2,068,392 covers personnel costs and other program costs, including the cost of materials and outside labor needed to meet the program goals of facilitating energy efficiency for low-income Harlem residents. In addition to the normal program allocation, the proposed budget also includes an allocation of $535,920 from ARPA, or the American Rescue Plan, which will allow our weatherization team to service more Harlem residents than before. That concludes the budget presentation. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Burns. Is there any discussion? Any questions, comments? Okay. Are there any comments from the public? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion for approval? And please remember.
Yolanda Ford, motion to approve.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Holly Drakeford, Director, motion to approve. I second it.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. Ms. Burns will now present the request for authorization to adopt the New York State Urban Development Corporation doing business as Empire State Development Pre-Qualified Owners Representatives List. Ms. Burns.
Thank you. The directors are now requested to adopt ESD's Pre-Qualified Owners Representative List. ESD and its subsidiaries, including HCDC, implement a number of large, complex projects and initiatives, some of which require the assistance of construction management firms to act as owners' representatives, particularly when staff is unable to actively monitor or manage construction for reasons not limited to time constraints, staffing, and expertise. The directors previously authorized the adoption of ESD's Owners Representatives List in August of 2017. That list,
She's ready.
please mute your line. Thank you. In March of 2021, ESD placed an ad in the New York State Contract Reporter requesting proposals from construction management companies. The request was also sent to a list of New York State certified MWBEs with a history of providing these services. To be included on the list, respondents were required to demonstrate proficiency and understanding in all areas of construction, project administration, and management. A total of 45 firms were selected, and they're listed on page 15 and 16 of the materials. The list identifies firms as that are certified as minority and women-owned businesses, as well as service disabled veteran-owned businesses. Adoption of the list will shorten the solicitation process by allowing staff to select from among pre-qualified firms, evaluate selected firms for a particular project, and make recommendations to the directors versus conducting an individual solicitation each time. The list will be effective until October 2024 and may be extended for one additional year at the discretion of ESD's president and CEO or her designee. That concludes the presentation, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Is there any discussion, questions, or comments?
Holly Drakeford, Director. I'm just wondering, what does SDVOB actually stand for?
Service disabled veterans owned businesses.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Any discussion? Any comments from the public? Hearing none, may I have a motion for approval?
Yeah, Holly Drakeford, Director, a motion to approve the list of qualified representatives.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Dean Brown, second.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Ms. Destiny Burns will now present the request for authorization to amend a contract for construction management services in connection with the Victoria Theater redevelopment project. Ms. Burns.
The directors are asked to authorize ATDC to amend the contract for construction management services with Works in Progress Associates, or WPA. WPA is listed on the pre-qualified owners representatives list we just adopted and was selected from among 5 firms chosen from a previous list invited in March of 2018 to submit proposals to provide construction management services for the Victoria Theater project. Their role on the project is to represent ATDC's interest as owner during the construction phase of the project, including build out and integration of ATDC's cultural unit, which is estimated to be approximately 75% complete at this time. The directors initially authorized a 2-year contract term with the option to extend for 2 additional terms of 1 year each. An expiration date of no later than May 31st, 2022. The annual amount not to exceed $267,091 for a total amount not to exceed $1,068,364. Due to delays not limited to the COVID-19 pandemic and project financing issues, the services are needed for additional time and the overall contract amount should be reduced. Today, we are asking the directors to authorize the extension of the expiration date by 1 year to May 31st, 2023, and adjust the contract amount not to exceed $752,711. That concludes the request, and I'll take any questions on that contract amendment.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions, discussion?
Yes, this is Rashina Moore. I have a question.
Yes.
In terms of extending the contract to May 31st, not to exceed $700,000, if I'm understanding that's what you said. Has the reduction of the amount, what's been the reason for the reduction of the amount?
So because of the project delays, there's been no work for an extended period of time, so we haven't needed the services. So when we initially engaged the firm, it was for up to 4 years. So they really only worked about 2 years and some change on the project. So we've added the 267 annual amount to the amount already spent for that year. So that's the reason for the reduction. It's just, time kind of stood still on the project.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Are there any comments from the public?
If no other question, I have another one. The completion date for the project, is that still on schedule, and where are we with that timeline?
So after, I would like to give like an update for the entire project after this item. Or would you like that information before the vote? I was going to give a project update from the last time. A couple of things have changed.
Okay, that's great. I just wanted to make sure it didn't have any bearing on the timeline. If we are extending the contract and we're reducing the amount of monies paid, I just want to make sure that it is consistent with the timeline for completion of the overall project.
The timeline for this contract actually extends beyond the estimated completion date for a lot of reasons, just in case there are any additional extensions or time overruns. And also, even after the project's completed, we may need our owner's rep to represent us with the cultural unit.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is Holly Drakewood, Director. Where does the project stand now? Because you've been giving extensions and continuing on for a long period of time. Originally, I thought this would be almost finished by now. Now we're going to extend it another year. Is the cultural center the last piece that needs to be done? Can the rest of the project be operational?
So this contract that I'm asking the directors to approve right now is for our owner's rep. It's not for the actual project. I will give an update for the actual project after this item.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that clarity.
Wonderful. So since there are burning questions about the update, let's go ahead and vote on this item, please. So may I have a motion for approval?
Yeah, this is Holly Drakewood, Director. I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Yolanda
Ford, I second.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Okay, so on my agenda, I do not see a update. However, Ms. Burns, would you like to take this time to give an update on the Victoria Theater?
Absolutely. So in regards to the construction of the project, nothing has changed since the last meeting. The facade and the marquee and lobby are substantially complete. The retail is still approximately 90% complete. The hotel is approximately 80% complete, and our cultural unit is approximately 75% complete. On the residential side, they've had the temporary certificate of occupancy since last year. The leasing of affordable units is currently in process. Tenants are expected to begin moving in within the next 2 to 3 weeks. On the market rate units, the leasing is ongoing. They've reported approximately 25% occupancy as of this week. The developer has been meeting with ESD's Office of Contractor Supplier Diversity to finalize a plan to satisfy the MWBE requirements imposed by the lease. And in regards to the financing necessary to resume the construction, the developer is in the process of closing with their new lender. They're expected to close later today or early next week, based on our last conversation a couple of days ago. Since our last meeting, we've extended the lease until March 31st. Once the funding is secure and the NWBE compliance requests are met, we're planning to execute an extension of the lease until November 30th, which will provide the developer with 8 months to complete the construction and obtain the government approvals necessary to meet conveyance conditions set forth in the general project plan. So that's pretty much where we are with the project and the timeline. The developer, and this is also in response to a question that we had at the last meeting, the developer has proposed 2 dates for a site tour for HCDC's directors. After this call, we'll circulate those dates, and we'd like you guys to give your availability so we can schedule a date that works for everyone so you can see the project up close.
Great. Great.
Thank you so much. That's very helpful. This is Athena with one additional question. As it relates to the 75% of units that have been occupied, did I get that number right? I may be mistaken.
25% is occupied, 75% remaining.
75% remaining. So I know recently I was at a meeting, and it just happened to be some senior centers at the A. Philip Randolph Senior Center, and the comment was made, we've heard this comment before, but I just want to make sure that I'm saying back to those in the community that are inquiring, the opportunities to rent in the development are now closed as it relates to the renters units. Is that correct?
You mean the
affordable?
You mean the low income ones? The
yes,
ones that
not the
was,
market rate.
yeah.
Forgive me. Not
right.
the
So the
market
lottery
rate,
closed at the end of January.
Right.
So
that
they're
was my
now in the
understanding.
selection process now.
Right. And the comment, which is just feedback for you, I know you've heard it before, but the comment was recent, so that's why I bring it. And it was just a concern that many still did not feel like they were included in the lottery, and that there is a need to make sure for whatever units are available for folks in Harlem that can afford it, that we're doing all we can to facilitate it. I know you know this issue. I'm speaking to the choir as we all are committed to doing that. But I just wanted to do our due diligence in conveying what was only recently conveyed to our office.
Thank you. And I will make sure that I convey that to the developer as well. I'm sure they know too, but just, you know, that you brought it to our attention and that it came from members of the community.
Yeah. Thank you, Athena.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? All right. Thank you, Ms. Burns. All right. Is there any additional business? Okay. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Motion.
Yeah, I'm Holly Jacob. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
Wonderful. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you, everyone, for your participation in today's meeting. Have a wonderful weekend. This meeting of the directors of the Harlem Community Development Corporation is adjourned.
Thank you for attending, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Freedom.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.